When the college admission scores were made public, a vlogger who specialized in granting wishes for an online series arranged an interview with the childhood friend of our state's highest scorer. "What is the single biggest wish you want to see come true right now?" the interviewer asked. Chloe smirked directly into the camera lens. "I hope a certain someone honors his promise and doesn't apply to the same university as me. Let's just agree to never cross paths again." We had a long-standing bet between us. This year, I had proposed that whoever achieved the higher score would be granted one wish by the other. In all the previous years, whenever I had lost, I had always found a clever way to get out of fulfilling my end of the bargain. Chloe was completely convinced that I would do the same thing again. What she didn't know was that I had already received my early acceptance letter from the Rhode Island School of Design. I had simply neglected to mention it to her. This time, I was fully prepared to give her precisely what she wished for. Our paths would diverge, permanently. The day after the interview was posted, the video clip went viral across all social media platforms. My best friend, Sam, sent me the link. I broke up with Chloe right away through a text message. She didn't accept the breakup. Instead, she replied with only an address. "Don't be a coward. If you really mean it, say it to my face." I attempted to write back, but she had already blocked my number. She didn't answer my calls either. I decided there was no reason to involve our families in our personal conflict. It was going to be the last time I had to see her, so I figured I might as well go. It would also give me the opportunity to bring up the bet and officially call off our engagement while I was there. So, I went to the address she sent. I was only a few steps away from the private room when I heard the sound of laughter spilling out into the hallway. A few different voices were playfully goading someone. "Chloe, you've chosen truth a dozen times in a row. You have to pick a dare this time." "Yeah, you have to stare into a guy's eyes for 10 seconds. A bet is a bet. You can't just take a shot to get out of it this time." "Ben's the only guy here, so you don't really have another option. Just get it over with." Chloe's voice sounded relaxed and unbothered. "Not even if I drink 5 shots?" "Nope. And Ben, don't be so shy. It's just looking, not kissing." "Hurry up. I'm waiting for my turn to stare at the class heartthrob." The noise level inside was starting to give me a headache. I was just about to turn and leave, but a waiter pushed the door open to enter before I could move. In the next instant, my eyes met Chloe's, and her expression was cold and unwelcoming. The room fell silent. Even the background music from the karaoke machine seemed to fade away. When Chloe finally spoke, her voice was sharp and clear. "You actually came? So obedient for once. You don't actually want to break up, do you?" She was leaning back into the sofa cushions, a beer bottle held loosely in her left hand as she looked up at me. The flashing, colorful lights from the karaoke system softened the sharp angles of her face, but all I could visualize was the screenshot Sam had sent me from someone's social media page. It was from Ben's losing dare. In the photograph, his arm was draped casually around her shoulder, a pose that felt uncomfortably intimate. The caption beneath it read, "Such bad luck today. Lost at truth or dare over and over. Good thing I have a big sister to take the drinks for me. Thanks." I suppressed a wave of disappointment and hurt that rose within me. I walked further into the room and asked her, "You scored a 680. I got a 662. I lost again. What you said in that video, that was your condition for winning the bet, wasn't it?" The overhead light caught the curve of her cheek. She smiled, but there was a definite hint of irritation in her voice. "My condition? Wasn't that your condition, Your Highness?" The other people in the room could sense her rising anger, and nobody dared to make a sound. Chloe, as if a dam inside her had finally broken, began to bring up old arguments. "I hate you. I can't stand looking at you. Let's just never see each other again." Weren't you the one who said all of those things first? This time I just made your private thoughts public for everyone to hear. What did I do that was so wrong? What gives you the right to be angry at me first?" Me? Angry? I didn't think I was. Of course, seeing her sitting so close to Ben had stung for a moment, but my tone of voice and my expression were hardly what I would call angry. Seeing me standing there, impassive and quiet, she slammed her beer glass down on the table with a loud thud. She was a little drunk. "I am so tired of this. You bring up breaking up every single time you get upset. How many times has it been this month alone? Didn't we just promise each other last month that no matter how intense our fights got, we wouldn't use those two words? Why do you always forget? Besides breaking up, what other terrible things are you going to lecture me about this time? I'm listening." Her eyes were red-rimmed, making it appear as though I was the one who was bullying her. In the past, seeing that pained expression on her face would have filled me with guilt for days. I would have replayed the conversation in my mind, wondering if I had been too impulsive, or if I had said something that genuinely hurt her. But this time, I felt nothing. Some people use sweet words, but their actions are far more cutting. "Since you're so tired of it, then let's just break up. And while we're at it, you can tell your family that the engagement is off too. As you requested, I won't be applying to the same college as you. You won't ever have to see me again." I finished my statement calmly. Chloe stared at me, her usual confidence completely gone. "What are you talking about?" I sneered. "Are the words 'we're breaking up' that difficult for you to understand? You said you couldn't understand it over text. Can you not understand it when I'm saying it to your face? Chloe, I think spending so much time with certain people has made you dense." A flash of cold anger crossed her eyes. She asked again, "You're serious?" I nodded. "I'll tell my grandfather about the engagement as well." She shot back immediately. "Fine, we're finished. If I ever come back to you, I'm a dog." The others, sensing the situation had soured beyond repair, tried to mediate. "All right, Chloe, don't take it so far. You're going to cry for a week if your boyfriend actually leaves you. Weren't you just complaining earlier, saying you'd get on your knees and beg him for forgiveness if he didn't add you back as a friend? It's just a small fight. You two can sort it out in private. Why say such harsh things in front of all of us? I bet you're regretting it now." She's just pretending to be angry, but she's really just showing off, rubbing it in our faces that we don't have a handsome, rich boyfriend to spoil us. Ben, who was sitting next to Chloe, added his own thoughts. "Ethan, don't be like this. Chloe came here to drink because she was so upset over you. Her hand just healed. She shouldn't be drinking this much." I snorted dismissively. Her hand injury, the injury she sustained while playing the hero for him against some local thugs. What does that have to do with me? Why should I feel sorry for her? I told her I had already called the police and that they would handle the situation, but she insisted on rushing in and getting herself cut. I couldn't stop her. Who is to blame for that? As if to deliberately spite me, Chloe didn't pull away when Ben placed his hand on her wrist. In the past, I would have separated them immediately, yelling at him for having no sense of boundaries and touching someone else's girlfriend. But this time, I felt a deep sense of exhaustion. Arguing wouldn't change anything. The two of them would remain connected. He would continue to cling to her, and she would never learn how to firmly say no. I didn't want to waste my energy on it anymore. I turned to leave. Just as I reached for the door, it opened, and Ben's older brother, David, came in carrying a platter of fruit. He set it down and looked at Chloe with a fawning expression. "Miss Chloe, about my brother's college applications. I'll leave everything in your hands." Then he pretended to have just seen me, feigning surprise. "Oh, Ethan's here too." Seeing his sly, fox-like face, which was identical to Ben's, made my stomach turn. It was such a performance. He was the one who had directed me to this specific room when I asked at the front desk. It didn't take a genius to understand that he wanted me to see his brother and Chloe together. It was probable that everyone except Chloe knew how desperately David wanted his brother to become part of her family and secure their financial future. I had no desire to deal with people like him. I ignored him and turned to open the door. In the next moment, Ben ran over and grabbed my arm. "Ethan, my brother was out of line this time. I'll handle my own college applications. I won't bother Chloe about them anymore. Please, don't be mad at her because of me, okay? She's drunk. I'm sure she didn't mean any of the things she said." Listening to his stream of insincere words, I felt a surge of anger. I had promised myself that starting today, I wouldn't let Chloe and the two brothers get under my skin anymore. It wasn't worth it. But the words came out before I could stop them. "Oh, so now you're the expert on what she means and what she doesn't. And you're suddenly aware that you're the reason we fight all the time? Then why don't you just stay away from her? You're always following Chloe around like a lost puppy. Don't tell me that's not intentional. I have to admire the audacity of you two brothers. All it takes is a few tears and a sad story about your past, and you have the great Miss Chloe wrapped around your little finger." Ben's face turned red, his voice filled with hurt. "I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to cause any trouble between you two." "That's enough, Ethan!" Chloe suddenly shouted, her voice cutting through the tension in the room. "Do you have to be such a bully?" The moment she spoke those words of reprimand, I felt something shift inside me. Our decade-plus of friendship suddenly felt meaningless. "I said we can break up. I won't shamelessly hold on to you anymore. You don't have to attack him. If you have a problem, direct it at me." She threw her empty glass into a far corner of the room like an angry animal. I didn't hesitate. I pulled the ring I wore off my finger and tossed it at her feet. "I hope you keep your word, Miss Chloe." With that, I walked out. I hadn't gone more than a few steps down the hall when I noticed a cufflink was missing from my shirt. It had been a birthday gift from my grandmother before she passed away, and was one of the few possessions I truly treasured. I must have pulled away from someone too forcefully, and it had fallen off inside the room. After a moment of consideration, I swallowed my pride and turned back to look for it. I stopped just as I reached the door, hearing their conversation resume inside. "Man, that prince has quite a temper. Chloe, I'm telling you, Ben is so much more compliant than him. You should choose a nice guy like him for a boyfriend. What do you even see in a guy like Ethan?" "Don't say that, Abby. I have my own flaws. I'm too soft-hearted. Not like Ethan. He has the courage to say whatever is on his mind." Chloe let out a self-deprecating laugh and muttered, "Yeah, he's got a temper, and he can be mean. What do I even see in him? If he were just a third as gentle as Ben, I'd be eternally grateful. But why won't he change for me, when it's so clear?" A male voice tried to console her. "Chloe, are you sure you're not going to go after him and make up?" Chloe sighed. "Forget it. I'm always the one who has to beg for peace. It's pointless. I'll just give him the cold shoulder for a while. Maybe then he'll realize how good he had it and how much I tolerated." The moment she finished speaking, a profound coldness settled in my chest. It was a physical ache, a pressure that felt like my heart was being squeezed. So all this time, Chloe had thought I wasn't gentle enough, that I was the one unwilling to change. But I am who I am. Why should I transform myself into some placid, agreeable version of myself for someone who clearly didn't value the real me? Her casual words had just shattered 18 years of our shared history. She had no idea. This time, when I said we were breaking up, I meant it with every fiber of my being. No matter how much she might regret it later, no matter how much she begged, I would never forgive her. My flight to Providence was already booked. In the future, our paths would never cross again. Chloe never came after me, not even as I walked out of the club. She was too preoccupied with comforting her dear brother, Ben. "Chloe, I I never meant to ruin things between you and Ethan. I'm just a little clueless, you know? After my parents passed away, I've had no sense of security, and that's why I bother you every day, asking you about everything. I never realized it would cause you so much trouble. I'm sorry. Enough. You didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to apologize. This was far from the first time she had chosen someone else's feelings over mine. In the end, I didn't go back into the room for the cufflink. I figured what was lost was lost. My grandmother probably wouldn't blame me. She had always doted on me and couldn't stand to see me unhappy. If she were still alive, she wouldn't want me to return to that place of misery and humiliation. In the car on my way home, I blocked Chloe on every platform. One by one, I deleted every photograph I had of her. The picture of us playing beach volleyball on our high school trip, the fireworks we watched together on New Year's Eve, the large party she had organized for my birthday, the way she would tell terrible jokes just to make me smile, her face illuminated with a carefree light. There were over 10,000 photos. From the age of 5 to 20, Chloe was a constant presence. My mother died during childbirth. I have only ever seen her in photographs. My father was constantly busy with work and was rarely home. My grandparents were not in good health, so I tried not to burden them. When I was 8, my father was on a business trip overseas and was killed in the crossfire of a local gang conflict. When my grandmother heard the news, her health declined overnight, and she ended up in the intensive care unit. Many people whispered that I was a bad omen, born to bring death to my family. No one at school wanted to be my friend. They threw small rocks at me and told me to stay away. Back then, Chloe was like a goddess who had descended from the heavens. She chased away all the bullies for me. For the young Ethan, who grew up surrounded by rumors, Chloe was a beacon of light. She was like my guardian angel, always there for me when I needed her the most. She would bring me the best snacks and the newest toys first. When we were children, another kid called me a motherless child, and Chloe was the one who fought him. Don't be scared, Ethan. Your big sister is here. I'll protect you. But that was all in the past now. The world would continue to turn without Chloe in it, and my world would not collapse. I packed my bags that same night and flew to a small town in Vermont for a vacation. It was a lesser-known tourist destination, one that was never on any of Chloe's meticulously planned travel itineraries. Back in our junior year, Chloe had promised me a unique and unforgettable graduation trip. The route she had planned began in Wyoming, continued to the California coast, and then went on to the Greek Isles and Napa Valley. It was a 2-month journey, spanning from domestic travel to overseas adventures. She planned most of it herself, her eyes shining with excitement. She had said, "I want the Aegean Sea to witness my undying love for you, and I want to kiss my lover in the flower fields of Napa." What beautiful promises. I had smiled so freely then, leaning down to give her a long, passionate kiss. Now, all of it was just an empty vow, and I no longer looked forward to anything that had to do with her. The plane landed at 12:30 a.m. The owner of the bed and breakfast was a man in his 40s. He was very friendly, picking me up from the airport himself and helping me with my luggage. Worried that I might be hungry after the long flight, he even brought me a bowl of sweet soup for a late-night snack. By a strange coincidence, I ran into my classmate Sam at the B&B. It turned out that the owner was his uncle, and he was working there over the summer to earn money for his college tuition. It was after 2:00 a.m. by the time I finally got settled into my room. For those few short hours, I miraculously didn't think about Chloe even once. We used to be inseparable, never going more than an hour without seeing or speaking to each other. But in this new environment, the old people and old memories were pushed to the back of my mind. The travel had been tiring, and I hadn't slept well. The moment my head touched the pillow, I fell into a deep sleep. At 4 a.m, I was woken up by a phone call from an unknown number. Chloe's voice, thick with anger and the effects of alcohol, came through the receiver. "Ethan, why did you block my number and my texts? How could you be so cruel? Is it just because I didn't come running after you? But why is it always me who has to come begging to you, Your Highness? I get tired too, Ethan. I want you to comfort me, for once." She started to sob quietly. My voice was flat and devoid of emotion. "Are you out of your mind, calling people in the middle of the night?" She was still asking. "Why won't you comfort me anymore?" I was about to say something harsh when, a second later, I heard a more familiar male voice in the background. "Chloe, stop drinking. Be good. Drink this. It'll help. We'll just sleep it off." "Yeah, Miss Chloe, my brother made this soup himself. It's really good. Drink up and then you can have sweet dreams. We're the bigger people. We won't stoop to the level of some spoiled brat with a temper, right?" I thought I wouldn't care. But hearing their voices so close and intimate, I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness. I said, "You people are insane." After that, I hung up, blocked the new number, and set my phone to Do Not Disturb mode. When I woke up the next day, my phone's call log showed hundreds of missed calls from various unknown numbers. I didn't have to guess who they were from. I paid them no mind. I stayed in that small Vermont town for half a month. During that time, Chloe didn't try to find me again. Instead, my friend Sam forwarded me a few of her recent social media posts. There was a picture of Chloe and Ben riding a horse together across the plains of Wyoming. A 9-photo collage of them making peace signs in front of a landmark in the Greek Isles. A shot of Ben in a purple shirt, standing amidst the lavender fields of Napa Valley. There were a dozen posts, all with the same caption. He was supposed to be here with me. It was a clever, ambiguous statement. People who knew us were asking in the comments, "Who's this? Where's your beloved prince?" People who didn't know our history commented that they looked like a perfect match and wished them well. After scrolling through all of it, I felt surprisingly calm. It was like watching a story about strangers. It didn't affect me on a deep level. Sam, on the other hand, video called me, furious on my behalf. "I don't follow that guy, so I don't know what he posted," I laughed. "Good thing you didn't send it to me. I would have thrown up the seafood noodles I just ate." Sam said, "Seriously, is your girl Chloe completely out of her mind? Wasn't that the trip you two planned together? How did she let those 2 shameless brothers from the Ben family tag along and take advantage? I remember you were the one who made all the food recommendations. Those 2 are real pieces of work, and Miss Chloe must be blind, ditching a prince like you to run around with those 2. I just laughed. She can take whoever she wants on her trip. It has nothing to do with me anymore. He asked, "A decade of history, man. You can really just let her go like that?" I said, "What is there to miss? It's not like she's the only girl in the world." Sam roared with laughter. "That's my boy. So clear-headed. You just wait. As soon as I'm free, I'm going to find you 80 models to help you get over this." He hesitated for a moment, then added, "You know, Ethan, ever since those 2 brothers showed up and started clinging to Chloe, I've felt like she didn't deserve you. I just never said anything because I was afraid of upsetting you. If I wasn't stuck at this training camp, I'd fly over there and slap them a few times. A couple for Ben and David, and about 100,000 for Chloe." Sam had gotten into his dream music program at USC, and the moment he finished his exams, his mother had sent him to Europe for an intensive vocal workshop. He hadn't had time to come back home. I smiled. Yeah, I know you're the best. All right, it's getting late. You should get some rest. Don't mess up your classes tomorrow. Go get 'em, future pop star." After I hung up, Sam, who was actually my temporary B&B co-worker, came upstairs and asked if I wanted to go to a local bar for a drink. He brought along some plum wine his uncle had made himself. The wine was sweet and fragrant, and it lifted my spirits, making me feel relaxed. The bar was filled with neon lights and had a great atmosphere. I got a little greedy and had an extra glass of the plum wine, which left me slightly buzzed. Sam took the opportunity to snap a few pictures of me with the lounge singer. In return, I took a few for him, and even helped him get her number. I never expected him to post my pictures on his social media feed with the caption, "Caught a handsome guy." But he seems a little down. Hey, Internet, any ideas on how to cheer up a hottie? The next day, while I was out with my art supplies to do some sketching, the calls from unknown numbers started again. I didn't answer, but the caller was persistent. They kept coming one after another, so I finally just turned my phone off to focus on my painting. To my surprise, I ran into an old acquaintance that afternoon. Professor Miller. Professor Miller was a senior professor in the Chinese painting department at RISD. Last year, I had attended an art symposium by chance and was fortunate enough to be invited on stage for an interactive session. On stage, I spontaneously created a landscape painting in a traditional style. I learned calligraphy and painting from my grandmother. She taught me how to hold a brush and recognize different types of inkstones and pigments from a young age. So my skills were decent, but in my heart, I was set on going to Harvard with Chloe. I focused all my energy on my academic classes and had forgotten that I could pursue art school as a viable option. After seeing my painting, Professor Miller was full of praise. He encouraged me to apply to RISD's art program, saying that with my talent, I was sure to be accepted. He said that one day I would carve out my own unique style in the world of Chinese painting. We chatted for a bit afterward. He seemed to like me, and even exchanged contact information. He personally invited me to display the piece I had painted that day in his upcoming exhibition. That was the first official exhibition of my life. I was ecstatic and invited Chloe to come with me, wanting to surprise her, so I didn't tell her beforehand that we were going to see my painting. But she stood me up. The first day of the exhibition was Ben's 17th birthday. Chloe knew I didn't like getting involved with them, so she lied to me and went to his birthday party instead. If my friend hadn't told me he saw them at a club, I probably would have remained in the dark. That day, I waited for her at the entrance of the art museum for 3 hours. Her phone was off, and I couldn't reach her. I waited until the exhibition closed, but I never saw her. At 10 o'clock that night, she rushed to my house to explain. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I had to take my mom to the hospital this morning, and when I got home I took a nap and had my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I didn't get your calls." I looked at her coldly, not saying a word. I had spent hours in the cold wind that day and had caught a cold. I felt awful, and my throat was sore. I really didn't have the energy to listen to her fabricated stories. Chloe said, "It wasn't on purpose. I've already booked tickets for Sunday's exhibition. I'll definitely go with you tomorrow." I replied flatly, "Don't bother." From the moment she lied to me, she was dead to me. From then on, I would never share anything about my life with her again. The fact that I was applying to RISD, that I had been accepted early, and that I was going to leave her for good, I wouldn't tell her any of it. "Professor Miller, I can't believe I'm seeing you here," I said, walking up to greet him. Professor Miller was surprised, too. He wasn't carrying any art supplies, so he must have been there just for a vacation. "Ethan, my boy, you're here too. Are you on a trip with your girlfriend?" At the exhibition, Professor Miller had noticed me constantly looking towards the door and had asked what was going on, so I had told him a bit about the situation. I smiled. No, we actually broke up. I'm here to gather inspiration. The International Calligraphy and Painting Competition is next year, right? I thought I'd give it a shot. Excellent, excellent. With your skills, a top 3 finish is definitely within reach. I was going to remind you to register, but it seems you're already on top of it. But just so you know, my classes aren't going to be a walk in the park. You'd better prepare yourself. Professor Miller was cheerful and talkative. He mentioned he was traveling with his wife. A few minutes later, I saw his wife coming to meet him, carrying a thermos and a watermelon. Seeing the sweat on Professor Miller's forehead, she immediately pulled a handkerchief from her pocket and gently wiped his brow. Didn't I tell you to wait for me in the pavilion? Why did you wander off? She chided gently. Professor Miller replied, I was afraid you'd drop my watermelon. My legs are fine. I won't fall. Here, eat up. It's fresh from the field. They warmly offered me a slice. The watermelon was juicy and incredibly sweet as their decades-long marriage. A long time ago, I thought Chloe and I would be like them, supporting each other until we were old and gray. But alas, the most beautiful things in the world are often the most fragile. The sun was halfway down the mountain by the time I said goodbye to them and headed back to the B&B. I couldn't believe my eyes. Chloe, whom I hadn't seen in 2 weeks, was sitting in the lobby. She was toying with the 18th birthday present I gave her, a hand-carved jade rabbit. I had ordered the raw jade half a year in advance and spent 3 months carving it myself. She turned, saw me, and jumped up to run over. I pretended not to see her and walked straight toward the elevator. The next second, a hand grabbed my wrist. Ethan, do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you? Looking? Had she been looking? What a liar. If she had wanted to find me, she would have been here on the first day. Why wait 2 weeks? The only reason is she didn't want to. Weren't you on a graduation trip with your new boy toy? What are you looking for me for? I pulled my wrist free. What new boy toy? What are you talking about? Besides, it's been so long. Are you still mad at me? Is it that serious? I scoffed. Has Miss Chloe forgotten that we broke up? Her bravado vanished. I'm sorry. I drank too much that day and said a lot of things I didn't mean. Please don't take it to heart, okay? Did you see the pictures of me and Ben? I didn't want to take them. I never wanted to go on a trip alone with him. My grandfather forced me to bring him along. Oh, does that have anything to do with me? Why are you telling me this? I don't want to hear it. Move! Get out of my way! She blocked the elevator, refusing to let me pass. Just then, the elevator doors opened, and standing inside was Ben, alone. He was pushing 2 suitcases, one large and one small, as he walked out of the elevator. Ben wasn't surprised to see me. A smug smile played on his lips. Ethan, you're back. I couldn't believe it when Chloe said your GPS location was here. They must have found me through the location on Sam's new social media post. Too bad Chloe and I wasted a whole day checking almost every 5-star hotel in the city without finding you. This place is pretty remote, and the decor is just okay. I didn't think you'd stay somewhere like this. This B&B was close to the beach, and a good spot for sketching. The downside was that the rooms were a bit small, and the amenities were older. But it was clean and cozy. It was nowhere near as bad as he made it sound. The place he and his brother used to live in was far worse. Now that Chloe's family was spoiling them, they looked down on everything. I tilted my head, looking closely at what he was holding, and realized it was my suitcase. He had even scratched it. My brow furrowed in anger. Following me, breaking into my room, and taking my things. Are you guys stalkers or thieves? Oh, right. She's the stalker, and you're her little lapdog. I reached for my things, but Chloe blocked me. Ethan, stop making a scene. Come home with me. My harsh words made Ben's face turn red, and he started whining defensively, attracting the attention of other guests. "We did not! The guy at the front desk gave us the key card. I didn't break in." I gave Chloe a shove. "This is trespassing, you understand? I can call the police." She didn't get angry. "Go on, keep pushing. When you're done, you're coming home with me. Can you stop this nonsense? Do you have any idea how dangerous it is for you to run off this far by yourself, or how worried I've been?" "All right, stop throwing a fit and yelling at people. I'm the one who asked him to go in and help pack." I was speechless. "Why do you still think I'm just throwing a tantrum, breaking up, calling off the engagement, never seeing you again? Every single thing I've said, I've meant. You're the only one still living in the past." I fought back the tearing pain in my chest, unslung my art case from my back, and hurled it at Ben. "Give me back my suitcase!" I roared. A red mark quickly formed on Ben's forehead. He cried out and sat on the floor, clutching his head. Just then, the receptionist heard the commotion and hurried over. "Mr. Evans, I'm so sorry. This young lady said she was your girlfriend, and even showed me photos of you two and your ID, so that's why I gave her the key." I didn't argue with them anymore. I just dialed 911. By the time the police arrived, Chloe was kneeling on the sofa next to me, holding a glass of warm water and some stomach medicine. "Your stomach problems are acting up again. I know you're in a bad mood and throwing a fit, but there's no need to drag the police into this, right? Be good, take your medicine, or your stomach will start to hurt again." I ignored her. When Ben saw the police, he immediately ran up, grabbed an officer's hand, and started complaining that I had slandered his reputation. The officer paid him no mind and just put him in the patrol car. "You can tell it to the station." It was just a small conflict that could have been resolved with some mediation and a written statement, until the male officer found a very expensive watch in Ben's pocket. It had been on my dresser. Seeing the guilty look on Ben's face, the officer asked him what was going on. He stammered, unable to answer. I said, my face a mask, "I don't know him. He entered my room without my permission and took my property. That's theft." Ben panicked and tried to explain, but he couldn't come up with a reasonable excuse for why he had my watch. I insisted that he return it, pay for damages, and be detained for 2 weeks. Chloe pleaded with me. "Ethan, do you have to be like this? We were classmates after all. Maybe he just accidentally put it in his pocket while he was packing your stuff. It's not like he meant to steal it." I shook her hand. "Off. He knows whether he stole it or not. He made a mistake, and he should be punished. Last time he went into my room and took my keychain, and you told me not to make a big deal about it, so I let it go. This time I won't back down. Besides, I don't have time to watch you two monkeys perform." With that, I called a cab and left. Chloe was too busy trying to figure out how to get Ben out of trouble to come after me. That evening, Sam and his uncle returned from a fishing trip. When they heard what happened, they apologized to me profusely. I didn't make it hard for them or ask the B&B to compensate me for my losses. I just told them to train their staff better so that customer privacy wouldn't be breached again in the future. As I was packing my bags to leave that night, I got a call from my grandfather. He was urging me to come home, his voice laced with anxiety. I thought something had happened to his health and immediately bought a ticket for the next flight back. I had thought the police station would be the last time I ever saw Chloe. But I was wrong. Not only had Chloe not canceled the engagement, but she had somehow convinced her parents to schedule the engagement ceremony for the following week. It would be held jointly with her college acceptance party. I was so angry I unblocked her number just to chew her out. "Chloe, are you insane? After everything that's happened, you're still planning a damn engagement? My grandfather is an old man, and you're lying to him like this. Aren't you afraid of divine retribution?" She let out a soft laugh, her tone casual, as if she still thought I was just angry. Ethan, you don't have to pretend. I already know you went to that bar to drink your sorrows away over me. You do care about me, don't you? You're just too proud to admit it. I was wrong at the B&B that day. Ben is out of the police station, but he has a record now. Even if he can't go to college or has to repeat a year, I won't get involved anymore. Let's not fight anymore, okay? If you won't come to me, then I'll come to you. I'll be the one to back down. What? Did she get her head slammed in a door? Or does she have multiple personalities? Who said I was drinking because of her? The more I listened, the more annoyed I got. I started cursing. Did you learn your shamelessness from Ben? Weren't you the one who said you'd be a dog if you ever came crawling back to me? I regret that. Woof, woof, woof. My Prince Ethan, can you forgive this little puppy now? Jesus, she's a psycho. Her voice grew happier as she spoke. Even though I won the bet, I'll concede. I'll always be your loser. Our engagement party is next Saturday. I'll pick you up tomorrow to try on tuxes, okay? Chloe, what makes you think I would get engaged to someone so rotten? You might not think you're disgusting, but you make me sick. I hung up and blocked her again. I went straight to my grandfather's hospital, not home. I was afraid Chloe would be there waiting for me. It turned out the engagement party was partly my grandfather's idea. That's why Chloe's family was in such a hurry, moving the ceremony, which both families had originally planned for December, up to next Saturday. I tried again to persuade my grandfather to give up on the idea of the marriage alliance. Grandpa, Chloe and I, it's impossible. Let's just call off the engagement. Grandpa frowned, clearly displeased. Didn't you used to beg me to let you marry her? I didn't want to get into the messy details with him, so I just said that Chloe had fallen for someone else, and I didn't want to be the third wheel. Grandpa sighed and was silent for a moment before he said, Ethan, you know my health. I probably don't have many months left to spend with you. I quickly cut him off. Grandpa, don't say that. The doctor said you're doing great. Grandpa had old injuries from his time in the army. After Grandma passed away, he was consumed with worry, and his health deteriorated even further. He had to spend every day in bed, sustained by IV drips. I knew he couldn't bear the thought of leaving me alone. Even though the treatments were painful, he kept fighting, holding on so he wouldn't have to leave me to join Grandma. You don't have to lie to me, son. I'm not afraid of dying, but I worry about you. At least we know the Chloe's family. After I'm gone, if anyone tries to bully you, they'll have your back. You're only 18. You haven't even started college yet. When you enter the real world, you'll have a tough time with no one to help you. Hearing him talk as if he were on his deathbed made my heart ache, a lump forming in my throat. Grandpa, I'm not afraid of hardship, but I don't want to spend my days consumed with anxiety over a girl to the point where I don't even feel like myself anymore. Please stop talking like that, okay? I don't like to hear it. I was hoping I could live to see you settle down, get married, and have children. I said nothing. Grandpa had always known I disliked the two brothers, and hated that they were living with Chloe's family. But they were Chloe's family's saviors, not mine. I could be unhappy about it, but I had no right to interfere. 3 years ago, Ben had saved Chloe's grandmother, who had wandered off at the cost of one of his arms. The old woman had Alzheimer's, and a lapse in her caretaker's attention had allowed her to wander into the middle of the street. Amidst the chaotic traffic, Ben pushed her to safety, but his own arm slammed into a lamppost, resulting in a severe fracture. Chloe's grandfather had spent the whole day looking for her, and when he heard she had almost been hit by a car, the shock sent him to the hospital. Fortunately, both grandparents were ultimately fine. Ben's parents had died in a construction accident, leaving him and his brother David alone and destitute. Out of gratitude, Chloe's family took them in. David had little education and few skills, so he could only work at the leisure club owned by the family. Ben, on the other hand, was transferred to my and Chloe's school to attend classes with us. He always managed to insert himself whenever Chloe and I were eating, doing homework, or studying together. He was there every time we went to the movies. I never understood if he was the family's savior or Chloe's personal attendant. Wherever she went, he followed, like a ghost you couldn't shake. I held my ground for a long time, but Grandpa wouldn't budge. He believed my reluctance to get engaged was just a temporary spat with Chloe, a fit of pique. He thought I would regret it later. So I finally told him everything, all the grievances I had been holding back. When he finished listening, he was furious. He gently stroked my head and said with a sense of release, "I want someone to take care of you and be with you, but I can't force you to do something that makes you unhappy. Otherwise, when I see your grandma on the other side, she'll be angry and ignore me. You, my boy, when you get to college, you have to take good care of yourself. Don't run your body into the ground. And try to soften up a bit, get along with your classmates. As for the company and family matters, I'll try to get in touch with a few trustworthy people to take over. I will absolutely not let you suffer even the slightest bit more." On the day the engagement was officially called off, Chloe's entire family came to my grandfather's hospital room. When he announced the cancellation, no one dared to argue. Chloe rushed in, her usually perfect face looking haggard, with dark circles under her eyes. Hearing my grandfather's resolute decision, she immediately fell to her knees. "Grandpa, Ethan, I know I was wrong. I'll never make such a stupid mistake again. Please just make Ethan forgive me. I can't live without him." In a fit of rage, my grandfather grabbed his cane and started hitting Chloe with it. No one dared to intervene. "Never again? How dare you say such nonsense? Do you know what today is? How dare you be late? Does this mean you'd just skip your own wedding? How long have you let those two brats bully my grandson? My poor Ethan, he put up with it time and time again, forgave you time and time again. He's loved you since he was a child. No matter how awful you were, he never once thought of truly leaving you. But what about you? You stood him up, left him waiting for you in the freezing cold for hours. He got seriously ill, and not only did you not take care of him, but you were out laughing and having fun with someone else." Grandpa struck her a few more times with the cane, and Chloe passed out. Fearing the old man would work himself into a health crisis, her family quickly carried the unconscious Chloe away. After that day, I received a lot of apology gifts. They were all from Chloe's family. I didn't refuse them. I sold everything and deposited the money in my bank account. Before college started, I went to see my grandfather one last time. His old illness had relapsed, and they couldn't save him. I stayed in the morgue and cried for a day and a night. Chloe came to sit with me. I didn't acknowledge her, but I didn't chase her away either. The next day, the trustworthy people my grandfather had mentioned all arrived. They were the children of his old army buddies. 5 or 6 older brothers and sisters took turns comforting me. They helped me handle all the funeral arrangements. I buried my grandfather with my grandmother and my parents. Sometimes I really did feel like I was a jinx, destined to bring death to everyone I loved. But then I thought, if that were true, Chloe should have been dead a long time ago. So from now on, I won't believe any of that superstitious nonsense about cursing my parents. Even if the people who loved me are all gone, I have to love myself. Because I deserve to be loved. And I deserve to be loved by someone better. On the first day of college, Chloe didn't show up for her own registration. Instead, she came to my campus. "Ethan, can you really not forgive me, not even once? I've cut all ties with them. From now on, I'll only follow you. You can hit me, yell at me, I won't fight back. I'll take all of your bad moods. I calmly walked around her. If I could forgive everything, then all the pain I've been through would be my own damn fault. Chloe, I'm not that pathetic. Chloe's face went pale, and she lunged forward to hug me. But a woman behind me executed a swift shoulder throw, pinning her to the ground. It was one of the sisters who had helped me with the funeral, Sarah. She had retired from the Special Forces last year due to a serious injury and now worked at the police station near the university. She was 5 years older than me, with a lively and straightforward personality. Before he passed, my grandfather had asked her to look after me, so she had made a special trip today to help me move in. She shot me a look, and only after seeing I was unharmed did she relax. Sarah said, "Who the hell are you, kid? Can't you see he's disgusted by you and doesn't want you to touch him?" Chloe, her hands cuffed, screamed as she was dragged away. After that day, I never saw Chloe again. Sarah, on the other hand, often came to campus to bring me food, nagging me to finish all my supplements and forbidding me from staying up all night painting. She'd call every day to remind me. Later, I would occasionally hear news about Chloe and Ben from Sam. Ben wasn't rejected by the university because of his record, but he was caught cheating on his final exams and was also nabbed stealing takeout from the dorm lobby. He was sent to the police station again. He was expelled, and Chloe's family, finding him a complete embarrassment, finally cut him loose. They gave him a sum of money and sent him away for good. Chloe spent her days at home, drinking. She missed the final deadline for university enrollment. She tried to learn painting, hoping to get into RISD. But artistic talent isn't something everyone has. She failed. She had no choice but to waste 2 years before finally getting into a different school nearby. She would still come looking for me from time to time, but I ignored her. My days were spent in the art studio, and my free time was for dinners and hangouts with my college roommates. My fulfilling university life kept me busy, and I had a meddlesome retired soldier of a sister who would drive over to take me out to eat and go shopping. I didn't dwell on the grief of losing my family for too long. I think in the days to come, I'll fly free like a butterfly. No one will ever hold me back again.